Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hoopers Lab podcast. This is the podcast where we talk all things basketball. I'm your host, Brody, joined here by my co host, Riley.
Hello, hello.
Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm doing quite indubitably.
Indubitably. So, we are here doing another player rankings, another part of the series. We're on shooting guards now. So, the way this is going to work, we are going to rank our top 10 current shooting guards. If you haven't seen the point guard ranking, go do that now and come back and welcome back. So, what's going to happen is we're going to rank the shooting guards. Devin Booker is not on this list because he was on our point guard ranking, and a player like Zach LaVine did not play enough games this season to be eligible. Um, Otherwise, he would be somewhere on the list, but he only played 25 games. So, yeah, I think that's about it.
Sounds
You
about
ready to
right
get
to me.
started?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so, I have a lot of honorable mentions just because I think for me, from 9 all the way to the honorable mentions, it's pretty much the same tier.
I agree.
Um, so I have a lot of honorable mentions. But you can start us off with your first one.
My first honorable mention is Rockets young guard, Jalen Green.
Okay, I have him as an honorable mention as well. If this was March Jalen Green, he would be in the top 10.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
I was considering giving him the benefit of the doubt just because of how good he was during that stretch. But I think if we can see him play more consistently like that throughout this season, and maybe actually prove and show that he should be a core piece in the Rockets' future, then yeah. But as of right now, I think he's still a little too much of a question mark for me to really want to put him on the list officially.
yeah, for sure. Like it was only like what a 15 game sample size, so he was kind of bad the rest of the year. So,
Yeah,
like he is a very polarizing player just because like he's gonna put up the stats, but like he's not there defensively. And he also, is an inefficient kind of shot chucker. But like that stretch he had, he was amazing. So if he can continue to play like that going forward, then he can definitely be on this list.
yeah, I agree, and
I
I
just
think
need to see a bigger sample size first.
yeah, and I think if he really actually locks in on the defensive side of the ball and proves he can, because he has the tools to do it. There's no reason he should really be a below average defender at all. So yeah,
Yeah,
obviously when
for
you're
sure.
not on a good team, it's uh, not the easiest thing to do, but he doesn't exactly have that excuse anymore.
Yeah, for sure. And another honorable mention I have is Colin Sexton, and I kind of completely forgot about him when I was first making this list, and then and then I remembered him, and I was like, oh, he actually could make my top 10. He didn't end up making my top 10, but he's an honorable mention just because I think he's kind of underrated and buried on the Jazz. Because when you think about the Jazz, no one's really talking about him, but like he had a really good year last year.
No, that's a really good one because I just like it's really hard for me to gauge how impactful of a player he is because he's super good. He scores the ball at a really efficient level, and um, but he's always just gonna kind of be teetering on that. Should he be on an actual team that's competitive? Should he be a six man? Should he be a starter? What's his role even? So yeah, it's kind of just like a weird mid ground that he's in, especially on the Jazz where they're semi competing but aren't really good enough to actually make it. So yeah,
Yeah. Who's your next honorable mention?
I have Devin Vassell. Um,
Okay, nice.
nice. Yeah,
He's
no,
my top honorable mention, so that's
yeah. I
why.
was, I really was hoping that there would kind of be room at the end of the list for him because I think Devin Vassell's really, he's pretty underrated. Really good scorer, super efficient, and defends at a decent level. Um, but I just think he hasn't really gotten enough shine really with the Spurs and their lack of uh, needing to be competitive now that they're in their rebuild. But I think he can still he still has some room to improve in his game, and I think he's due for a good season next year, especially now that they have Chris Paul and another year of the greatest center of all time.
Yeah, for sure. Vassell was really close to making my list. I watched lots of Spurs games this year because of Victor Wembanyama, but Devin Vassell was a big standout in those Spurs games. Like there was lots of games where he was amazing, where he had really good games. And I really want to put him here, but I think that next year he can take another jump, like refine his game. I think that Chris Paul being a mentor will kind of help him, like because that's just what he does. So yeah, I was close to putting him on the list, but ultimately I didn't end up doing it.
Yeah. No, I agree completely.
Who's another? Do you have any more honorable mentions?
Yeah. My last one is Andrew Nemhard. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, obviously mostly off based on the playoff run he had, but where he played great. But I don't think it's enough to justify putting him anywhere, any actually in the top 10. Especially as looking at his regular season stats, and obviously they're not bad or anything, but I still think he still has to show that he's really that guy throughout the whole year next year. Which I mean, maybe the Pacers play a really good brand of basketball with Tyrese Halliburton getting everybody involved. So anything's possible with this team, really. But yeah, I really like Nemhard. A very good fit next to Tyrese Halliburton. Can play off the ball well, and then on a team that lacks defenders, he'll at least try to be that guy and defend on the perimeter.
Yeah, for sure. I think he showed himself a lot in the playoffs and kind of proved himself. He's a player that wasn't really on my radar, and then when the playoffs came around, I was like, oh, Andrew Nemhard's actually like really nice.
Yeah.
He's definitely a player I think could be a breakout candidate for next year and take a jump. But yeah, I have him. I don't have him as an honorable mention, but he was definitely a guy I thought about.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I also have Tyler Hero and Austin Reeves as honorable mentions. Yeah, I don't know. Just good players, but not good enough to crack the list for me.
Okay. Okay.
Were any of those players on your list?
Maybe.
Oh, okay, now I'm wondering who in my list isn't on your list or honorable mentions. Okay.
Hopefully I didn't
Well,
forget
let's
anyone.
let's start off this list. Number 10, who do you have?
Dante DiVincenzo.
Okay, I have him one spot higher at 9. So,
Yeah, just
fair.
super good throughout the whole season, and then continued with his hot shooting in the playoffs. Obviously, he's going to play great defense, and he's just feels like another one of those Knicks guys. And yeah, just super good fit on the team. Does everything he needs to for Brunson, and you know, I think the fit with Randall next year, people are kind of making it seem like is worse than it's going to be. I think it'll be nice to have Randall back to alleviate some pressure from Jalen Brunson for them, and I think that can make continue to make Dante's job easier. But yeah, just a solid season from him, and yeah,
Really good season. Not just solid. Like he had a really good year.
yeah, shot it
Um,
super efficiently.
Yes, he was bouncing around the league a lot, and it was hard for him to kind of find his fit and his home. And in that in that Tibbs system, he's really found his home.
I think that was kind of
You
weird
know,
though, because I've always really liked Dante DiVincenzo.
yeah,
Even
I
back,
liked him on the Bucks a
yeah,
lot.
even back when he was on the
Yeah.
Bucks, and then he went to the Warriors and he had a solid season. They,
He was on the Kings. Remember that?
yeah, man, it's been bounced. I completely forgot about that.
Yes, I don't remember how many games. It definitely wasn't a lot. Let's see here. He played 25 games with Sacramento. So,
Sounds
yeah.
about right.
So, he was a guy that was kind of looking like he was going to be a journeyman, and then he found his home in New York. He's a guy that is a good volume three-point shooter. He shot almost 9 attempts per game at a 40% clip. And yeah, I think that with Randall being back, it's going to alleviate some pressure off of Brunson, and it's going to allow Dante to be just that catch-and-shoot threat. And yeah, he had some really big games, and obviously in the playoffs he kind of showed himself more. And yeah, really good player. So I have him at 9. But my number 10 is Anthony Simons. So with Anthony Simons, like, he's polarizing because he's like a really good offensive player, but defensively he's just a cone.
Yeah,
One of the worst defenders in the league, probably. You could probably argue he's the worst. I mean,
he's taken over for
y-
Trey Young.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I really saw I was high on Anthony Simons early in his career. I seen him as in that like CJ McCollum, Damian Lillard mold. And now that they're gone, he's kind of, filling that gap. I mean, obviously not to the level of Dame, but like same kind of play style. And he's also taking the defense from them as well. But yeah.
Dame taught him right.
I like really good volume 3-point shooter, like just absolute sharpshooter, and he's able to, you know, kick out when he needs to. Uh, he was in a dunk contest earlier in his career, but I think that he's kind of gone away from driving to the rim
Yeah,
as much as I would like. Uh,
I
More
think.
of just like a 3-point shot chucker, but
Yeah,
he's a guy that can get you a bucket.
yeah. I think it doesn't help that he's smaller, but yeah. No,
Yeah.
I like Simons. I think yeah, he's there's more. I expect more from him, but still overall, I think still a very good young-ish player. What's he like, 24, 25?
Something like that. But it's also like his team situation just so weird. So I don't really
Yeah,
know where he fits on this team or in the league. Um, where is his age? He's 25. So yeah, kind of at the peak of his powers almost.
yeah. No, that's fair. Um, I do have him a bit higher, so
Oh, okay. I
yeah.
thought he was completely off the list.
No,
Okay, got it.
no. I'll get to him.
Okay, I think I okay. Who's your number 9 then?
This is where I have Tyler Hero.
Okay, Hero made your list. He did not make mine.
Yeah, I
Uh,
really like Tyler Hero. I think he's slightly underrated. I think part of it is also due to his lack of availability. There's
yeah,
only so much high you can really put him. I think he played like just over 40 games. Um,
42. Yeah.
yeah, so just basically played half the season, which is obviously not ideal, especially from a guy that you need to score the ball in the Heat. But just a very good scorer. He's slightly underrated as a playmaker. Solid there, but I think really what kind of tanks his stock as well is defensively. He's not great, and he doesn't really have a great excuse to not be a good defender, other than I don't know having Bam on the back line. But with his size, and obviously he's not the most athletic, but I think there's you have more you'd expect him to be at least an okay defender, but yeah, obviously a great scorer, um, great playmaker as well. But I just think I really just think we don't see him enough during the regular season to really justify really any higher on the list.
Yeah, that was one reason why I didn't put him on my list was the injury concerns and then also like how impactful of a player he really is.
Yeah,
Um, I don't really know, but I mean what he does is valuable. He's just a bucket and I think that everyone knows that.
yeah,
Um, my thing was just I would take Anthony Simons offensively, and then defensively, they're both liabilities anyway. So even though Simons is worse on defense, it's not like Tyler Hero makes it up that much on that end.
yeah.
So, okay. And then, so I have 10 Anthony Simons, 9 Dante, and then you have Tyler Hero at 9, and then Dante at 10. Who's your number 8?
This is where I have Anthony Simons. Um,
Okay,
yeah, I
got
I
it.
really like Anthony Simons in general. I really like his he obviously shoots at a super high clip from three, like you mentioned. I'd say a little bit down in terms of his percentage last year, but still okay. Um, and yeah, like you mentioned, the fit and just kind of what Portland's got going on in general is super questionable. So I think in a better position, we could see him play a bit more impactful basketball. I like him a lot as a playmaker as well. And yeah, I think if you can have him as like your uh, your guard on a like I didn't mind the idea of him in Philly. Obviously, him and Maxi defensively is not very good, but I thought the fit next to Joel would be super cool. But just something like that where he can show his off-ball abilities with the three-point shooting, but as well as set the table, get people involved as well. But yeah, obviously not very good defensively, but I'm hoping that Portland moves on from him soon, so he can actually play some meaningful basketball somewhere.
Yeah, for sure. yeah, that's about it for Anthony Simons. Moving on to my number 8, I have Alex Caruso. Um, I think that maybe you don't respect the Caruso.
Maybe I don't. No, I was considering. If anything, I would have put him as an honorable mention. Um, but I don't know. I guess part of me, I haven't really gotten to see the impact of Alex Caruso in a while. Being on the Bulls, obviously defends at an elite level, shoots the three ball pretty well. So yeah,
Yeah, I think that Caruso, the reason I put him on is just because like the bottom of the shooting guard list isn't too strong, and Alex Caruso is just so impactful. Like to me, he's one of the ultimate role players. The Bulls were somehow really good defensively last year. Like, weren't they top 10? They
uh,
might have been a top
yeah,
10 defense last year. I'll double check. But yeah, and really, they didn't really have any good defenders. And he was a big reason for that.
maybe
So,
reason.
yeah, he's really the only reason for that. He's the only defender on that team.
Yeah,
And he does have a low stamina. Like, he's not a guy that can play a lot. But the reason for that is because he gives it his all every single possession,
yeah,
110%. Um, he's also like, he's a solid playmaker. Obviously, he's not going to be creating his own shot like these other guys and be, driving and kicking like these other players, but he is elite in his role as just a plug and play player. And I legitimately think he's one of the best perimeter defenders in the league.
yeah. No,
So,
he's gonna be really, really, really good for the Thunder next year. I hate it
yeah.
in fucking 2K how he always regresses like 3 overalls year one. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, and he's only like an 80. Like there's players that are not better than him that are higher than him.
Yeah,
Uh, just because, you know, 2K overalls, I mean, that's not all you can look at, but they value offense more than defense for sure. But like Caruso's a guy that shot 41% from 3 and, he could have taken more threes. Like he's had open looks that he, sometimes passes up. But if he can continue this shooting or even just a tiny dip next year with the Thunder, I think he's going to show a lot of people his value.
yeah. You'd like to see a little bit more volume from him, but overall, you wouldn't be upset with just what he brought you this year, in terms of his 3-point shooting. But yeah, definitely a very good player. And man, the shooting guard list is weak as hell.
Yeah, that's definitely no disrespect to the guys lower on this list, but it definitely is a weaker list just because of injury stuff like Levine not being able to be on the list and Booker being a point guard in our considerations. So, uh, yeah, but yeah, Caruso, he does a lot of stuff that won't show up on the box score, and I don't know how people are going to score on the Thunder because they couldn't score on them last year, and now you're adding, in my opinion, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. And you're replacing those minutes, those Josh Giddey minutes from last year with Alex Caruso. Like, how are you going to score on them?
Yeah, yeah. No, they're gonna be very, very nice next year.
It's actually insane. You've got Shea, who is, at this point, a pretty good defender. And then you got Lou Dort, who we know what he can do defensively, the Dorture Chamber. Then you got Caruso, one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. You got Chet as the backline, who is one of the best interior defender shot blockers in the league. Jalen Williams is good at defense, and Cason Wallace was really good at defense.
Yeah.
So
Lou Dort and
that's nasty.
Lou Dort and Alex Caruso is disgusting. Imagine you call for the screen, and then to get Lou Dort off you, and then Alex Caruso picks you up. Like, that's just disgusting.
If they don't have the best defense in the league next year, it's honestly going to be disappointing because there's no reason they shouldn't have the best defense.
Yeah,
They were really good defensively when they had Josh Giddey playing the 4 when Chet was injured that
I was
year.
gonna say, and especially now that you have a good backup big as well.
Yes, and they have no. This team is going to be the best defensive team in the league. Um, did you say your number? No, you didn't. Okay.
My number 8.
Yeah. Yeah, you had Simons at 8,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then I had Caruso at 8. So I think that from 8 down is kind of its own tier. I think this is kind of where we break into some more talented players. Still a weak
Slightly.
list, though.
This is where
Who's your number
where
7?
I have Bradley Beal.
I also have Beal here.
I just think I honestly I think a lot of the reason that he's here for me is just based off of who he is, and kind of giving him that benefit of the doubt that the Suns didn't. They obviously disappointed, but I think a lot of the lack of cohesion in general, as they all kind of missed a lot of time sporadically throughout the regular season, kind of affected them. And then obviously not having a point guard at all really doesn't help either. Um, so I'm hoping for a better season out of Beal this year. Um, even just showing a bit more impact, because defense. He said he was going to lock in defensively. We really didn't see anything from him there this year that's noteworthy. And then scoring the ball, he kind of looked lost at times, which again, hoping a point guard kind of helps that out, and a new coach can kind of figure out a better offensive scheme for them. And personally, I think I'd like to see more attempts from 3 from him next year.
Yes. For sure. That's kind of like when he was with John Wall, when they played together. He was really just that spot-up three-point threat.
Yeah.
And, like, he shot 43% from 3 this year, but it was only on 4 attempts per game, which is... Bradley Beal should be taking more than 4 threes a game.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. And then also, like, especially when this team needs three-point shooters, like... The top 3 guys don't shoot as much threes as they probably should.
Yeah.
They all like to get to that mid-range area, but I think that someone needs to take that leap as that volume 3-point scorer, and it should be Beal, because he is definitely the worst of those 3.
It should be the guy that's done it before, and it should be the guy that's significantly worse than the other 2, and one of them happens to be one of the greatest mid-range shooters we've ever seen. So...
Yes, exactly. So, Beal definitely needs to do that. I mean, like you said, they didn't play a lot of time together. He looked lost at times. The coaching and incorporation of the offense just wasn't there, so I'm hoping that can happen.
Yeah.
Beal's also injury prone in this point of his career. Like, he is due to miss games every year, so I hope that they're able to figure that out, because, he misses games. Durant's up there in age, so I wouldn't be surprised if he misses some games. So it's just hard to really gel as a team when that's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, the Suns are a team that are interesting because they're not great. They're not good defensively. Like, they don't have a defensive personnel. But then also they don't shoot threes. So I feel like you have to do one of the other.
Yeah.
Like, when they were going against the Timberwolves, the main problem was that the Timberwolves were out shooting them from 3.
And locking
they were beating them on that end, and they were defending them.
Yeah.
So it's like...
I know it's not going to happen, but I really want them to utilize Ryan Dunn.
It's not going to happen,
I know.
But...
Well, because, like, I think of it similar to Herb Jones, and kind of how he came up. Because, like, I didn't even know who Herb Jones was until he was starting the first game of the season because of injuries. And if there were some injuries to happen again with the Suns this year, I wouldn't be upset if they decided to try to pivot, at least to try to get some defense in there. Because, there's just absolutely nothing with them, and it just affects the whole team in general, since, they don't score a lot from 3, and they don't defend. So, I don't know. They're just a weird team, and I really, Beal, I really hope he at least has a more impactful season and can at least look more like the Bradley Beal we saw in Washington.
Yeah, for sure. And just accepting his role as being the third guy, I think, is key. But, like, crazy efficient. Obviously, his defense isn't great. It's not good either. But, like, offensively, he's talented. He just needs to apply himself more on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
I think.
No, I think I think he has the ability to do it. We just need to see it, and I don't know. That's the thing that worries me, is I don't know if we will.
Yeah, and that contract is huge. There's rumblings that he might come off the bench. So I
would.
I don't know what they're going to do. It's going to be interesting.
I would bring him out the bench, but 50 M's off the bench is disgusting.
It's bad, yeah. I mean, they're stuck with that contract for sure. And then him being injury prone doesn't help with that. I think they'll start Book at 3. that would be my prediction. I think they'll play Tyus Jones, Beal, and Booker. I think they'll start all three, but that's just me. That's just what I think will happen. I'm not saying that's what I would do, but
I wouldn't
that's
be
my
mad about
prediction.
it because they just buy into the offense. Because the thing is, they were small last year starting Grayson Allen, and obviously he's a little more of a workhorse type. He'll at least try to pick up and guard
He's
defensively.
grittier. Yeah.
Yeah, but which is if Beal can do that, you kind of replace that. But yeah, I wouldn't be mad if they started Beal and Booker at the three. Obviously not ideal, but I think there's worse things. And if you really buy into the offense, I think that's how this team's really going to be successful. I know I just mentioned the defense, but I just don't think they have enough personnel for that. Because I
No.
think that's kind of the thing last year is they were trying to be good, decent at both, and it just didn't really work at all. So I think if you really focus on being good at one, I think they'll be due for a better regular season than last year in general.
Yeah, for sure. Who do you have at number 6?
This is where I have Derek White.
Okay. Talk to me about Derek White.
Do you not have Derek White, or do you just have him a lot
Um,
higher?
I have him higher.
Okay,
Yeah, I have him higher. That's all I'll say.
I just think the idea of a role player is getting a little overrated. And it's not in the sense that I don't like Derek White. I think Derek White is really good. He's obviously has scoring outbursts at times, shoots it well, and obviously is an elite defender. But I just think it's easy. A lot of the things he does offensively is easier when you have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, and Drew Holiday, and on top of that, Kristaps Porzingis spacing the floor. Again, he's obviously a super impactful player, but I just like I don't know. I personally think the talent that I have above him is better, other than defensively, obviously.
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. I think that, I mean, for sure, if you're talking about number twos and number three options, that you would want probably the guys you have above Derek White more. But Derek White is just such a good role player. Like, there's a reason that he's on Team USA getting minutes, even though, like, the big meme is that, oh, Derek White, why is he getting all these minutes? You know, he is deserving of them because I
Yeah,
think every basketball team needs a Derek White.
yeah,
And I think that every team in the league would love to have him. And he can fit seamlessly onto any team. And when he's hitting his 3-point shot, it's just, which he has been doing in Boston during their playoff run and in the regular season. That's even more dangerous because he wasn't really a shooter before, and then he
yeah,
went to Boston, and now he's a guy that is a knockdown shooter pretty much. So, I mean, it is easier because defensively you have to live with something, and lots of teams opt to live with a Derek White 3 because you know you have Tatum, you have Jaylen Brown, you have Porzingis. You have to find something to give up. And they've been giving up Derek White threes, and he's been knocking them
yeah.
down. So
Unfortunately, giving up the Derek White three hasn't really helped anyone because he's just been
no.
hitting it at such an efficient clip this season. But yeah,
Yeah. I also like his playmaking. Um really good in the clutch and just a smart decision maker. I don't know. I just really value the defense and being a glue guy at this position, I think, more than you, and I think that also shows with me having Caruso a bit higher. Well, significantly higher than you. Uh, it's just like there's only a couple guys that are like stars in the league, you know?
yeah,
Like true stars that you can win a championship with. And, you know, you got to fill out with guys to complement those guys. And Derek White, as a complementary piece, is one of the best in the league.
yeah. No, that's fair.
Yeah, I was trying to push for the All-Star too. I mean, I know that it like yeah, he's getting a bit like a lot of credit, which is great. I love that he's getting a lot of credit. But also, like you mentioned, it helps to play in Boston.
Yeah,
So,
under a good,
um,
under okay scheme as well. Solid coach. Don't want to use that great word.
yeah.
He's been questionable at times, but yeah,
Great scheme. Coach is good. The coach isn't great, but his scheme and philosophy I get behind.
yeah.
Um, my number 6 is DeJounte Murray.
Okay.
So your Pelican boy. Pelican fly.
Fuck the
Look.
free branding.
So with DeJounte Murray, uh, he just didn't fit in Atlanta at all. And that's not really his fault. I think it's more the team thinking that they would fit seamlessly when Trey and DeJounte are both players that need the ball a lot. Like, DeJounte, we've seen him at his best this season when Trey Young is out. And there's a reason for that, because he is not a player that is going to spot up. He is a player that needs the ball. I think he needs to be a lead ball handler. And he needs to work in that mid-range and work in the pick and roll, which is why I don't know how to feel about the Pelican situation, because if they have Ingram kind of does these things. I think offensively, DeJounte and Ingram kind of overlap a lot.
I've been calling him Brandon Ingram Jr. Because that's
Yes,
literally what
pretty
he
much.
is.
And DeJounte is just a Brandon Ingram that has made an all-defensive team before. But it's not even like we've seen that for a while.
When he was young. No, he's
Yeah.
not the defender he once was.
He's a completely different player. He's not sitting in the chair. Maybe in New Orleans. I mean, New Orleans is kind of banking on him playing defense again
He
because
has to.
they really need him to do that.
Especially if Herb's coming off the bench, he has to.
Yes, and I'm not sure if he is willing to do that in
Yep.
this point of his career.
I'm-
He is far away from that. But I think that once you make an all-defense team, you are just seen as forever a good to great defender.
You'll just always have that
And-
on your resume.
Yes, and I don't think that that's who DeJounte is anymore, and I don't know if he'll ever get back to being close to that. So yeah, I have Derek White above DeJounte, and you don't. So I think my main reason is just, I mean, defensively,
You just have Derek White
Derek
one above?
White. Hmm?
You have Derek White one above or higher?
I never said one above.
Okay.
I just said I have him higher. So, yeah.
Just making sure.
Yeah, defensively, Derek White sits in that chair. He plays off the ball. Obviously, DeJounte's a guy that if you need a bucket or, you need to run an offense, you are going to give him the ball. But there's more situations where Derek White can be at his best than DeJounte Murray, and I think that
Yeah.
that's important.
Yeah, that's fair.
Who's your number 5?
This is where I have Desmond Bain.
Okay. I also have Desmond Bain here.
Yeah,
So-
I think I. So basically, we just have. Spoiler. I'm assuming we have Derek White and DeJounte Murray flipped.
We just have Derek White and DeJounte flipped.
Yeah.
We both have Desmond Bain at 5.
Yeah, and I think I would have put Desmond Bain over DeJounte Murray if we had more games from Desmond Bain this year. I think he played around that 40 range as well.
Yeah.
And obviously he's super efficient from 3, scoring the ball. He really took another step this year on top of the step he'd already taken. And without Josh, showed he can, still score at an elite level. Obviously defensively, I think he's nothing spectacular, but he has Jaren on the back
Erect
line.
arms.
He has Jaren on the back line, so he doesn't have to be fantastic. And he's also got some other solid defenders on his team. And I
He
think
tries on that end,
Yeah.
which is something that
that's all you can ask for.
DeJounte hasn't really in Atlanta. So,
I think
that's my reason.
he has some room where he can improve on this list if he plays some more games next year, which I'm anticipating he will. They kind of played him quote unquote safe just because they were shit this season. So
Yeah. They tried to get the SAR man, but they ended up with the Edie boy. So,
might end up looking better
yeah.
for them. The way SAR's been playing.
yes, it might end up being better for them. They also wanted Klingon, and I think Klingon would have been
I really would.
amazing
I
for
really
them.
would have liked the Klingon fit.
Yeah. But yeah, back to Desmond Bain. I think that the reason that I have Desmond Bain above DeJounte is that Bain is significantly better as a secondary player than DeJounte is. He just fits better because of that off-ball scoring ability, and he's improved as a shot creator. So I think that as a second option in that way, Bain is better. And like as a first option, I don't think that Bane was all that bad this year. I think he had some good moments. It's hard when teams are scheming against you because you're the only player that could do anything on your team.
Yeah.
But he was able to get his, and obviously he's not going to be amazing at that end, but he doesn't need to be next year.
Yeah.
So, um, yeah, that's really about it. His shooting dipped because he had to play more, but we know what kind of shooter he is. I think he's one of the best shooters in the league. Um, like, yeah. So, and then, yeah, I have him above DeJounte for that reason. I like Bane better as a second option,
Yeah.
as a secondary player, and also the difference as them as main guys that you can go to, I don't think is all that different.
That's fair. Yeah, no, my main reason for having him below DeJounte was mostly just the games played this season.
That's fair.
Yeah. Obviously, yeah, he had a great season when he was playing super efficient and everything. So yeah, I totally um, get that reasoning. But yeah, I have DeJounte at 4.
Yeah, that's high in my opinion, but
I don't
go
know.
off.
I'd still say they're the same. These three are still the same tier.
No, I think they're the same tier for sure. It's just I don't know. It's the fact that the shooting guard list is so weak
Yeah,
that saying DeJounte Murray is
at
the fourth
4.
best shooting guard just has a weird feel, especially since he was in a situation that everyone recognizes was not optimized for him and that he did not fit.
Yeah,
So for him to be playing on a team where he didn't fit and to be the fourth best shooting guard just feels weird.
yeah. No, that's my
I
thing.
get it.
I really don't mind DeJounte Murray as a player. The Atlanta Hawks kind of situation in general, I guess, kind of rubs people the wrong way, and I don't know if that's on him, the coaching, the scheme, the team, whatever. Um,
All the above.
yeah, basically everything. But
Yeah.
if we could, because obviously now that he's a Pelican, there's going to be less scoring opportunity for him. Um, but I still think he's a solid scorer at all three levels. Obviously, he's a really good mid-range guy. Very clutch player. Like you mentioned, we saw them
Yes.
go on a very good run when Trae Young was hurt and he was leading the team, which I thought was kind of interesting. But yeah, I think really what could kind of rejuvenate his career in that sense is actually playing like an all defense player. Again, I like you mentioned, I don't know if we're really going to see that from him, but yeah, I still really like DeJounte Murray in general. I just think a bad situation kind of made things a little difficult for him.
Yeah, I think that if he wants to stay in one place and to have a stable location in this league, I think he's gonna have to kind of get back to more of that defensive identity. Because the thing with DeJounte is that he plays where he needs the ball. He's a ball dominant player. He needs the ball to be the most effective. But he's not good enough to kind of justify him having the ball more than other players that are just better on that end.
Yeah,
So I think that that's kind of the problem is that he's good, he's great, but he's not good enough to be your lead guy and to have that lead to a large amount of success. I talked about it a bit earlier, but there's only a couple guys that could be number ones, and everyone else kind of has to play where they
get in
fit.
where you fit in.
Yeah, and DeJounte, the reason for the way for him to do that is on the defensive end, and I just don't know if he's willing to kind of take that sacrifice.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Uh,
I agree
Yeah.
completely. Which is, yeah, I'm very concerned for the Pelicans next year with their overload of guards slash wings and no
Yeah.
center at all.
Yeah, is this their team?
It
There's
has
been
to
like
be
no rumors of anything.
at least until the deadline.
That's it's just thrown together.
Yeah,
I
no,
don't know.
David Griffin was cooking absolutely nothing in the kitchen. So yeah,
He
I
was
don't know.
cooking meth,
Um,
but in a bad way.
and yeah, we're probably gonna see a Brandon Ingram trade at the deadline, if not earlier, because I don't think anybody's interested in McCBA.
Yeah. And the more yes, and Ingram kind of falls into that same category where he's really good, but it's like as a number one, there's a ceiling,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But yeah, and then his value is just gonna go down and down and down the more that they wait.
Yeah.
So they're gonna get him for pennies on the dollar at the deadline, basically.
Uh,
Um,
if they want, I think the Pelicans should go after Robert Williams, if anything.
yeah, I mean,
Another
add
injury
another
prone guy.
injury guy to. Great idea. Add another small injury-prone athletic guy. I wonder who else they have like that.
Zion's not athletic. Just kidding.
Not anymore. He's not.
Not after the off season.
Yeah. Just prepare to start learning to speak Detroitnese.
Oh, hell no.
Because it's inevitable. Let's go to our top three. Who do you have at number 3?
Kyrie Irving.
Yeah. This is where he belongs.
Yeah, I think the top three kind of falls in place. I really,
Well,
I think so.
we'll see.
I really like Kyrie. Obviously, an elite scorer, and I think he really showed in this postseason kind of the balance he's learned as his career's gone on, of getting others involved, empowering the team, as well as being able to get his own. Sometimes we kind of needed him to get his own a little more, but it obviously ended up working because they made it to the finals. But yeah, obviously he's an elite scorer, shoots the three at a high level. Can defend when he wants to. Um, Great leader for the Mavs, and just an overall great season from him as well as the team in general.
Yeah. The reason the Dallas Mavericks went as far as they did as well is that the buy-in on the defensive end, and Kyrie Irving is a guy to credit to that as well, because he has never been a guy that has really played defense and has been seen as a good defender.
Yeah.
But he really locked in at times and was able to hold his own, and I think that was very important to their run. He's a guy that is going to shoot almost 50, 40, 90 every year. He is going to get a bucket. He averaged 26 a game this year on almost 50, 40, 90.
Score on
And
anyone.
the big problem was, like you mentioned, the scoring and playmaking. There were times where he was too unselfish, trying to get others involved when he's the guy that should be scoring. But yeah, very up and down playoffs for him as well, because there was really high highs and then the really low lows.
Yeah.
But that's what happens when you go against Drew Holiday, Derek White, Jaylen Brown, the defense of the Boston Celtics.
Yeah,
So
and-
I don't really blame him too much for that, because who can score on that?
No, exactly. And I think kind of the difference as well is that the top two are number ones and he's a number two. Maybe
Yeah,
maybe
for
the
sure.
ultimate number two, but he's still number two compared to.
I think he's the ultimate number 2. I
Yeah.
think he benefits a lot from being that number 2.
Yeah.
And I think that his career arc has kind of shown that, because
Yeah.
when he went to Boston, he needed that experience to kind of mature and get to the place where he is now, where he has stepped up as that leader and he has stepped up on the defensive end and that unselfishness.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. But the guys above him are number ones, and they're true number
They're
ones.
very good at it.
Yes. So, and Kyrie's a guy that maybe the best number 2 in the league. I don't know. You'd have to. I don't really count Booker or Durant. They're kind of 1A, 1B. But if you talk about like they're for sure number 2 guys on their team and everyone knows it, he's probably the best one at that.
That's fair. Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go to the top 2. Who do you got at number 2?
This is where I have Donovan Mitchell.
Okay. I also have him here, but I think it's closer than people think.
Okay. Okay.
I think it's very close. I wanted to put Donovan Mitchell number 1, but I didn't want to do it just to be different. If you look at statistically, if you look at the advanced stats,
Oh, hell no.
Donovan Mitchell, he's no slouch. I think he's one of the most underrated stars. I know we're throwing around the word underrated a lot,
We do.
but he's a guy that in these conversations with Booker, Anthony Edwards, and him, Ant, and Book, he kind of gets lost in those conversations
Yeah.
where I think there's an argument that you can make that he's the best one. I don't think he is, but I think that people write him off a bit more
No,
than they should.
I agree. I think he always kind of gets the short end of the stick where like especially if you're going those three specifically, most people are going to put him three, but it's a super close three, which I think people forget about a lot of the time. Um, and I think a key difference between him and Ant is Ant's more of the two-way, and Donovan Mitchell is more of the playmaker between the two of them. Donovan Mitchell has always been a pretty underrated playmaker. Super explosive, of course, quick, shoots the three ball well, and yeah. And I think a key difference between him and Ant is that Ant is still trying to figure that out. I think he's shown steps in the play.
I mean, today's his birthday. Didn't he just turn 23, which is insane? You have him as the best shooting guard in the league, and he's 23 years old. Just turned 23. Yeah, today's his birthday. So happy birthday, King.
What a G. No, but yeah, I think he's still trying to. Ant is still trying to figure out how to really put the scoring and playmaking together. I think he showed a bit of progression in the postseason, which was always my biggest criticism of him. But I think at times it still really showed that he's not fully there yet. And yeah, and I think he still has room to improve on that end. And obviously, Ant's an elite defender with his athletic ability and just how much effort he puts on that side of the ball. But yeah, I do think it's pretty close.
Yeah, I was close to putting Donovan Mitchell first, but I didn't want to do it just to be different. It also helps that they're in very similar situations where they are really the engines of their offense and they have, the two big lineups.
Yeah.
And the defensive infrastructure. I think the main difference for me is that Donovan Mitchell doesn't trust his teammates as much as Ant does. And I think that it comes down to leadership for that. And it also is like in every playoffs and in every season that Donovan Mitchell has had, it's been the Donovan Mitchell show.
Yeah.
And you could look at it two ways. You could look at it like he needs some help, but you could also look at it like if he does get another talented player, can they really be at their best?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm kind of a bit of that belief because Darius Garland should be that guy for them, but he's really not. And obviously, who knows? Maybe Mobley takes an offensive leap next year. Probably not. But
yeah, I don't know.
But yeah,
Darius Garland also needs to improve his
better
scoring and passing mindset.
Yeah, no. Last year it looked like a big step back for him, which is unfortunate. But I think he can, with the right confidence instilled in him, he might be able to get back to that and be better for the Cavs.
Which Ant does.
Yeah.
And Donovan Mitchell, I'm not saying Donovan Mitchell's a bad leader, but I think that the leadership is an off-the-court thing, but it's also an on-the-court thing where it affects the team's success. And I think that Donovan Mitchell is a guy that plays a lot of hero ball. And again, you could look at it two ways. You could look at it that he doesn't have any offensive tools around him to really help him. But you could also look at it like he doesn't trust his teammates to really shine in those moments. Because that's a lot of what the Cavs' clutch is just hero ball.
Get us a bucket.
Whereas Anthony Edwards has kind of improved in that area, flipping that switch between playmaking and scoring.
Yeah.
It's something that it was probably our biggest concern about him before was something they needed to improve on, and he has done that. But yeah, another reason that I have Ant over him is because Ant has another gear that he can reach that Donovan Mitchell just can't.
Yeah.
Like, when Anthony Edwards is at the top of his game, there is not many, if any, players better.
Yeah. No, he's just like an unstoppable force. He'll get what he wants. And
obviously that gear doesn't come out that much because it's a very high gear to reach, but he is able to reach that level. And we've seen that for that 2-week period in the playoffs where he was literally Michael Jordan. And Donovan Mitchell, as great as he is, he doesn't have that extra level he can go to.
I mean, he did
Which
put up
again isn't a
70
bad
in a
thing.
game.
It's just something that gives Ant the edge.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think Anthony Edwards also has a bit of the he just has the more physical tools, which I think can be used to his benefit. You know, bigger body, but still freakishly athletic. Uses his body well in general. So I think that definitely makes things a lot easier for him, especially on the defensive side of the floor as well. But yeah, I think it's still pretty close. But I just think, especially from this postseason specifically, Ant really showed us that this is who he is and who he will likely be next year.
Yes, for sure. And another thing is that Donovan Mitchell hasn't made it out of the second round, which again you can contribute to the team. You know, the team's not having that offensive help that he needs, and he really has to backpack so hard. But I just don't know if the backpacking is something he puts on himself or if it's the team. Like I really can't. I can't decide. You know?
Yeah, in the Cleveland,
Yeah.
yeah, in the Cleveland situation as well, it doesn't help that they've never really had a solid wing for them as well, because you know
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
spacing with the two big lineups, obviously you're gonna it's not gonna be super easy to score, and you kind of was hoping with the Strus pickup that would help that, and it didn't really make a massive difference.
No.
And then
Yeah.
on top of that, Garland having a down year really made things tough for him. Is kind of unfortunate he got hurt during the playoffs at the end of the year, but don't think it
Yeah.
really would have mattered anyways since they barely made it past the Magic.
Yeah, like people talk about how Ant is this clutch player and how he had an incredible playoffs. Donovan Mitchell was also incredible this playoffs. Like that stretch where he was like the end of the Magic series where he
He he
really
he
put that team
he,
on his fucking back
he took them
and
to the second
yeah.
round.
Yes. He set scoring records, playoff scoring records there and he was looking like Iverson, really. Like people talking about but Ant was looking like Michael Jordan, and Donovan Mitchell was looking like Iverson, and Michael Jordan's better than Iverson, so it's like, you know. And if I want to start a team, it is better to build around Ant. It's easier, and you're more likely to build around Ant. You're
He's
more likely to
younger.
build a successful team around Anthony Edwards, and I think that that's kind of the deal breaker for me.
Yeah,
Something I had to look at.
I just
Like,
think
yeah,
well, in the undersized shooting guard thing has always kind of been a slightly concerning as well. Obviously, he can play point guard, but he never really has. But yeah,
yeah, some small stretches, but yeah, there might be a ceiling on Donovan Mitchell what he can do as a number one for a team. I don't think there's that ceiling on Ant. So
that's
I
fair.
think that that's
That's fair.
something that you have to take into consideration as well. But again, as much as I'm giving arguments for Ant being better than Donovan Mitchell is a damn good player. And this conversation, I think, is uh, closer than people think. Because every ranking I saw had Ant significantly, not significantly, but it was like a no-brainer that he was higher. And I think that there is consideration that needs to be taken into this debate.
I think there's definitely some bias there as well. Everybody seems
Yes,
to
the aura.
love Ant.
Yes. That's another reason why I really didn't want to put Ant first, just because, you know, everyone has him first and everyone loves Ant, and I kind of wanted to be the guy to be like, well, here's Donovan Mitchell. But I think there's a way to show respect for Donovan Mitchell, not just by putting him as the best shooting guard.
Yeah, unfortunately, I just don't think he's quite good enough for me to really pull the trigger on that.
Yeah, same. But it's close, again. Uh, Yeah, aura is something that definitely people rank on nowadays, and that that helps for Donovan Mitchell.
That'll be our
Or
that'll
not Donovan Mitchell, it helps for Ant.
that'll be the video we do after or the podcast we do after our top tens ranking NBA
Top
players
10.
based on aura.
Please, no. I do not want to do that.
Who would be number one? Definitely not.
Can we also do a 10 worst auras?
That would be my favorite. Kevin Durant's got to be on the worst auras.
You think so?
Kevin Durant's.
No, no, you're capping. No, no,
I
no,
don't know,
no,
man. Kevin Durant. Maybe let me look up some Kevin Durant aura pictures.
no. Nah, I really like his fashion sense. That goes into aura. Also, when he was playing basketball, like air basketball in the club, I think that does that give him aura? I don't know. I liked it
Maybe
when
it
he was like,
doesn't help that he's on the Suns. That
yeah, the Suns just don't have aura.
that subtracts some aura.
That yeah, that does just
I searched up
retract
Kevin
some aura.
Durant aura, and we got a picture of Devin Booker and Kobe. So not looking
I
too
mean,
not looking too good so far.
most of the negative aura comes from his decision in 2016 and also his hair. I think
It's definitely his hair.
his hair is another thing.
Ugly ass bald spot.
But when he's got that toque on, when he's got that like beanie
Okay,
on,
okay, I can agree with that.
yeah. And have you seen that rap verse he did? That gained him some aura points.
I remember the commercial back in the day. It's Velvet Hoop.
I don't remember that.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah. We should do that for the end of a segment one episode. If we have time at the end of an episode when there's nothing going on after our player rankings, we should definitely do ranking auras, cause just for shits and giggles, you know.
there's definitely
Uh,
someone who's done that already too.
there definitely, yeah, there definitely has, but I definitely want to do it too. Just because it just doesn't matter at all, and it's just something that's just fun.
Kelly
Uh,
Oubre
but yeah, let's go over our lists one more time. I have Anthony Edwards as the best shooting guard in the league, followed by Donovan Mitchell at 2, Kyrie Irving at 3, Derek White at 4, which is crazy. Number 5, Desmond Bain. Number 6, DeJounte Murray. Number 7, Bradley Beal. Number 8, Alex Caruso. Number 9, Dante DiVincenzo. And number 10, Anthony Simons.
And I have Anthony Edwards at 1, Donovan Mitchell at 2, Kyrie Irving at 3, DeJounte Murray at 4, Desmond Bain at 5, Derek White at 6, Bradley Beal at 7, Anthony Simons at 8, Tyler Hero at 9, and Dante DiVincenzo at 10.
Yeah, so really, the only difference is the DeJounte and Derek White thing. We have that swapped, and then also I have Caruso and you don't. But like the 9 and 10 and the honorable mentions are all in the same tier. So even though I have Dante DiVincenzo 9 and you have him 10, and and you have Simons 8 and I have him 10, it's like it's all the same.
Picking between hey, what is the, oh well, I don't know what the saying is.
Picking between oh, I know what you're trying
I know.
to
I think
Apples and
I think
oranges?
I just messed it up.
I think so too. Lemons and lemonade. No, there's a saying. It's like choosing between. Well, I don't know what it is. Anyways,
Yeah.
comment down below what the saying is that we're trying to figure out.
We'll figure it out eventually. Apparently.
Yes, we'll start the next episode off with the saying. So stay tuned. Yeah, so we'll have our small forwards coming up next. And if you haven't already, check out the point guard ranking. And if you like this video, like and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, comment down below. And if you're on Spotify, give us 5 stars. And we'll see you in the next one. Take care and goodbye.
Adios.